listening to Full Circle Weekly news of the open source community presented by Full Circle Magazine. These articles are compiled by Eric the Unready, and I'm your host, Moss Bliss. This is episode 396, covering week 2, January 6th to 13th, 2025. The annual report on the development of the Budgie desktop environment has been published, in which plans for 2025 are mentioned. Work in 2024 was focused on the development of a session using the Wayland protocol, the development of the Magpie Composite Manager, the creation of the Budgie Daemon v2 control process, and its porting to Qt6. In the next release of Budgie 10.10, which is intended to be published during the first quarter of 2025, it was decided to completely abandon support for X11 and leave only the ability to work in environments based on the Wayland protocol. In the Budgie Git repository, the complete transition to Wayland was completed in July 2024. The tasks that need to be completed before the release of Budgie 10.10 include achieving parity in the functionality of applets with the old X11-based environment, finalizing Menu Manager, and stabilizing the new interface for configuring screen settings. Packages with Budgie 10.10 are planned to be included in the fall releases of Fedora 43 and Ubuntu 25.10. After the release of Budgie 10.10, the 10.x branch will be transferred to maintenance mode, in which only bug fixes are allowed. In the future, all resources will be thrown into the development of the Budgie 11 branch, notable for supporting the desktop functionality from the layer that provides visualization and output of information. Still going strong with lots of development is the F-Heroes 2 1.1.5, which recreates the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 game engine from scratch. The project code is written in C++ and is distributed under the GPL v2 license. To run the game, you need files with game resources, which can be obtained from the original Heroes of Might and Magic 2. The project includes a script for automatically downloading and extracting resources from the demo version of the game, which are enough for full operation. The Alma Linux project has released an update Kitten 10 based on CentOS Stream 10, which is used as the basis for the upcoming release of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10. Kitten 10 is presented as a test distribution that allows you to get acquainted with the capabilities being developed for RHEL 10 and complements CentOS Stream with its own changes. The builds of the distribution are formed for x86-64, x86-64v2, AArch64, PPC-64LE, and S390X architectures. The Kitten repository uses a rolling release model with installation builds updated every 3 months. The Kitten repositories act as an upstream for the Alma Linux 10 branch. Fixes and new features are first tested in the Kitten repositories and then pushed to Alma Linux. The Kitten repositories also act as a platform for integration and collaboration with upstream projects such as CentOS Stream and Fedora. The new build marks the move to the Linux 6.12 kernel and the addition of packages with Qt 6.8, allowing the use of KDE from the EPEL repository. The SeaMonkey 2.53.20 suite of Internet applications has been released. It combines a web browser, mail client, an NTP conference client, news feed aggregation system, RSS/Atom, and WYSIWYG HTML page editor composer in one product. The Chatzilla IRC client, DOM Inspector set of web developer tools, and Lightning Calendar Schedule are offered as pre-installed add-ons. The new release includes fixes and changes from the Firefox 60.8 codebase. Version 2.53.20 introduces a new implementation of the Bookmark Manager based on the Firefox library interface. The configurator now includes an interface for setting the color scheme, changing the browser .display.prefers_color_scheme parameter. The installer now registers MIME types processed by SeaMonkey in the system. A major cleanup of the Chatzilla IRC client codebase was performed and the identified shortcomings were fixed. For example, instead of array contains, array index of, array remove at, and array insert a handlers, Chatzilla uses a standard array object. Instead of the string trim handler, the trim method from the JavaScript string object. Instead of the fopen handler, the local file API. Problems with using the IRC protocol over TLS were resolved. The Orange Pi Neo gaming console, jointly developed by Orange Pi and the Manjaro Linux distribution developer community, is scheduled to go on sale in Q1 2025. The device is equipped with a 7-inch screen, 1920 by 1200, 120 Hz, AMD Ryzen 7 7840U or 8840U CPU, 16 GB or 32 GB of RAM, 512 GB to 2 TB of NVMe SSD, 2 USB 4.0 ports, a 3.5mm sound port, a TF PDF card slot, a touchpad, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, 2-watt speakers, a Hall rocker joystick, and RGB backlighting. Dimensions are 259mm by 107mm by 19.9mm. The device will run an atomically updated Manjaro Gaming Edition distribution as its operating system. The GameScope composite server based on the Wayland protocol is used for rendering. The interface for managing the device and launching games is built on the Open Gamepad UI shell, which runs on top of the Godot game engine. Interaction with input devices is built on the Input Plumber background process. To launch games from the Steam catalog, the Steam client is included in the package. Compatibility with games compiled for Windows is achieved using Proton. In addition to a specialized shell, the ability to use a full-fledged KDE Plasma 6.2 desktop environment will be provided. The console with an AMD Ryzen 7 7840 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigs of SSD will cost $499, while the version with an AMD Ryzen 7 8840U processor will cost $100 more. Scribus 1.6.3 has been released. The package provides tools for professional layout of printed materials, includes tools for generating PDFs, and supports working with separate color profiles, CMYK, spot colors, and ICC. The program is written using the Qt Toolkit and is licensed under the GPL v2 Plus license. Ready-made binary assemblies are prepared for Linux as AppImage, Mac OS, and Windows. The new version improves import of images with the CMYK color model. New functions for converting units of measurement and text styling are offered for automation scripts. Image export quality settings have been improved. GUI bugs have been fixed, and problems with opening and generating PDF, shortcuts, external storage detection, image update function, and rollback of changes have been corrected. They added support for building with new versions of the Poplar library. The experimental branch, Scribus 1.7, is beginning development, which includes porting to Qt6, converting icons to SVG format, adding a new palette implementation, and offering a new system of dockable panels. The release of the specialized distribution Tails 6.11 is presented, developed as part of the Tor project. The distribution is based on Debian 12, comes with the GNOME 43 desktop, and is designed for anonymous network access using the Tor toolkit. All connections, except for traffic through the Tor network, are blocked by default by the packet filter. Encryption is used to store user data in the mode of saving user data between launches. An ISO image capable of working in live mode has been prepared for downloading. The new version fixes vulnerabilities identified during an external security audit. To exploit these vulnerabilities, an attacker must gain access to the local environment, for example, by exploiting an unpatched vulnerability in one of the applications. The OpenSUSE project developers have released the January update of the experimental OpenSUSE Slow Roll distribution, which develops a modified version of the continuously updated OpenSUSE Tumbleweed distribution that is additionally stabilized for users who do not want to wait for the conservative OpenSUSE Leap release, but are concerned about stability issues due to the insufficient testing of new versions of programs. OpenSUSE Slow Roll is presented as an intermediate option between OpenSUSE Tumbleweed and OpenSUSE Leap, allowing access to fresh versions of programs after passing an additional stabilization stage. Compared to Tumbleweed, packages get to the Slow Roll repository with a 5 to 10 day delay for stabilization. System components are formed using a fresh package base, not based on conservative releases of SUSE Enterprise Linux. Changes in the January release of OpenSUSE Slow Roll include the inclusion of advanced features to ensure repeatable package builds. Bug fixes related to improved dependency handling, parallel builds, and race conditions in large packages, such as Python and Qt, have been backported. Package versions have been updated to Linux kernel 6.12.6, XFCE 4.20, KDE Gears 24.12, KDE Framework 6.9.0, QEMU 9.2.0, SQLite 3.47.2, Flatpak 1.15.12, Systemd 256.10, LLVM 19.1.6, GStreamer 1.24.10, Vim 9.1.0908, and AppStream 1.0.4. GPG has been updated to version 2.5.2 with the ability to generate ECC plus Kyber keys and improve smart card support. System 76 has released the 5th alpha version of the Cosmic desktop environment written in Rust. ISO images with the latest version of Cosmic built on top of alpha builds of the future Pop! OS 24.04 distribution for systems with NVIDIA and Intel/AMD GPUs are available for testing. Ready-made packages for Fedora, NixOS, Arch Linux, OpenSUSE, Serpent OS, Redux, and CachyOS are also being created. COSMIC is being developed as a universal project not tied to a specific distribution and corresponding to the free desktop specifications. To build the interface, COSMIC uses the ICE library, which uses safe types, a modular architecture, and a reactive programming model, and also offers an architecture familiar to developers familiar with the Elm declarative interface language. Several rendering engines are provided, supporting Vulkan, Metal, DX12, OpenGL 2.1+, and OpenGL ES 2.0+. Developers are offered a ready-made set of widgets, the ability to create asynchronous handlers, and use adaptive layout of interface elements depending on the window and screen size. In addition to using the Rust language, COSMIC features include hybrid window tiling and stacked window pinning, window grouping similar to browser tabs, which can be enabled in conjunction with virtual desktops. The project is also developing a Wayland-based COSMIC Comp composite server. The first stable release of COSMIC is scheduled for Q1 2025. The 9th corrective update of the Debian 12 distribution has been generated, which includes accumulated package updates and fixes to the installer. The release includes 72 updates with fixes for stability issues and 38 updates with fixes for vulnerabilities. Among the changes in Debian 12.9, we can note the update to the latest stable versions of the Ansible, Intel microcode, NVIDIA graphics drivers, QEMU, systemd, TZ data packages. The CREU packages and the tk-html3 have been removed. For downloading and installing from scratch, installation builds of Debian 12.9 are prepared. Systems installed earlier and maintained in the current release receive updates present in the Debian 12.9 through the standard update installation system. Security fixes included in new Debian releases are available to users as updates released through the security.debian.org service. The Enlightenment 0.27 user environment was released, which is based on the Enlightenment Foundation library, set of libraries, and elementary widgets. The release is available in source code without publishing ready builds. Mainly bug fixes and minor improvements in widgets are listed with no complete list of changes. The desktop in Enlightenment is formed by components such as a file manager, a set of widgets, an application launcher, and graphical configurators. Graphic configurators provide both high-level customization tools, changing the design, setting up virtual desktops, managing fonts, screen resolution, keyboard layout, localization, etc., and low-level tuning capabilities. For example, you can configure caching parameters, graphic acceleration, power consumption, and change the logic of the window manager. To expand functionality, they suggest that one uses modules, gadgets, and to redesign the appearance, design themes. Modules are available for displaying a calendar planner, weather forecast, monitoring data, volume control, and a widget for assessing the battery charge on the desktop. The components of Enlightenment are not strictly tied to each other and can be used in other projects or to create specified environments such as shells for mobile devices. The required dependencies include EFL, libexif, and libpam, Linux only. The recommended dependencies for full functionality include Conman for network configuration, BlueZ5 for working with Bluetooth, BC for the built-in calculator, Pulse Audio for managing sound devices, ACPID for handling various hardware events, Package Kit for tracking system updates, UDisks2 for mounting external drives, DDC-Util for managing the screen backlight, and GDB for tracing crashes. Linus Torvalds announced the 7th release candidate of the Linux kernel 6.13, and in the afterward offered to send a guitar pedal he had personally built to one of the kernel developers. Linus noted that he has a hobby, soldering small electronic devices, not too complicated, but not very simple either. Pedals for applying effects while playing an electric guitar are ideal for this hobby, but Linus does not play guitar, and there is no point in keeping the assembled devices for himself. He has already given away the previously assembled pedals to his friends, and now decided to send his product as a gift to one of the kernel developers. The recipient of the pedal will be chosen randomly. To enter the giveaway, send Linus an email with the message, "I want a guitar pedal," and choose a commercially available pedal assembly kit. Linus will purchase the chosen kit at his own expense, assemble it, and mail it to you. Applications are only accepted from kernel developers whose email addresses are mentioned in commits accepted into the kernel in 2024. You've been listening to Full Circle Weekly News. For more details, see the next issue of the magazine at fullcirclemagazine.org or check the links in the show notes. You can contact me at bardmoss@pm.me, and I'll see you next week.